What a great night. That's the first time I've had a drink that's the first drink in 3 months. And that was the time I think I fell out with the people about pizzas. Well, the pizza man, but it wasn't about pizzas, it was about something else. And he phoned me to tell me I was a Libyan dog. That's what he called me, a Libyan dog. So it must have hit a raw mark, a raw point in his system. But anyway, I had a great night, man. I mean, really good. Not the drink, I couldn't bother with the drink. But I suppose in the way the drink, well, I think tonight, I met, it was the last pub I just came from, just before I came up here, was absolutely full of Germans. And I met Dutch people tonight. They were very, very friendly. I had a really great conversation with this Dutch couple, a Scottish couple. Didn't meet any locals, actually. Apparently all the locals are barred from all the pubs. Now the guy says to me, in the last place, he says it's a 25%, 75% ratio normally for the locals, but he says the locals, well, it must be like everywhere, eh? I think the locals get barred. They're not allowed in, unless there's no tourists. But it was actually very good. That guy, I mean, he said to me, that was a barman, I think he could own the place in this pub I was in. And he said to me, he says, when you walked in the door, this is when we're talking later on. I mean, I think he was a bit spooked by me to start with. I don't know why, but I ordered him a drink and sat down and just absorbed the atmosphere as I normally do in these places. But it was one of these pool shooting galleries with lots of fucking male testosterone and Germans. But everyone was friendly, I think. Well, they appeared friendly, and I was friendly. But anyway, I break the ice a bit to the barman and say, "Where are you from, man?" And he came from the Bay Area in San Francisco. And I said to him, "Oh yeah, I know the Bay Area from the film Heat. Has that got any resemblance to the Bay Area in reality?" And he says, "They got it 100% spot on in that movie. They got it. It wasn't a Hollywood. I thought it was a Hollywood, well, I didn't. I asked him if it was a Hollywood kind of illusion, but he said, no, that's the real thing. That's what it looks like." And he told me he lived in he worked on the 33rd floor of his office block, and he could see Alcatraz every single day from his office desk, and the Golden Gate Bridge. And if I don't make sense, it's because I'm tired. I've also had a drink. But so he said he moved out to Oakland, and I said, so that's a bit daft living in Oakland. That's a bit wild. And he says it is in some places, but not all of it. Anyway, he said to me, when you walked through the door, there was such a presence about you. I wondered who the hell you were. I says, really? He says, well, it's my job. But when you opened the door, you came through the door, there was he says, you brought in a presence, but it was not a bad presence. It was just people knew you were there. I said, that's very strange. I said, hope I didn't put anyone off their drink. He says, no, not at all. That's what an interesting thing to say, eh? Sometimes I get invisible. Sometimes I can be invisible in places if I want to be. And other times, I suppose I can be present. But yeah, so mostly Germans, and then there was a few other people, but this guy came in, and he needed money for a drink. Well, I'm assuming that's what he wanted the money for, because he was carrying a picture for sale, and he needed money. And I immediately recognised it as a Edward, well, it was a Edward Cortez painting. French Impressionist. And I said, give me a look at that painting a minute. How much you wanting for it? And he said, a tenner. I said, is it a print? He says, I don't know. So I touched the surface. It was on canvas. It was an oil paint on canvas, rough surface. I said, tenner. And he says, yeah. So I take a tenner out. I says, can I just ask the barman to confirm this with us, please? That you're selling this picture to me for a tenner. He said, do you think it's worth more? I says, no, I don't think it's worth fuck all. But I just want you know, that I'm going to be carrying a painting out of the door that I didn't have when I came in the door. I just want to know that this is what's happening. Oh, I see. So the barman didn't know anything about Edward Cortez either. And I says, well, the guy says, I'm selling this painting to him. And he says, yeah, whatever. So anyway, I bought it for a tenner. And it's worth £61 million. Yep. It's worth £61 million. I think it's about 73 to 80 million euro. So I think I've done quite well for my tenner. And so I'm, you know, they say I'm going to, can you make sense of this, Andrew? Can you please speak properly? I'm going to Sotheby's with it on Monday. At least just ask them to sell it for me and deducting 10%. I mean, I'm a bit worried about that 10% they're getting for fuck all, but I think I should get at least 50 to 60 million profit on my tenner. But anyway, it was interesting. I was talking to this barman about the Bay Area. I said, I mean, living on the San Andreas fault line, this was not a concern. He said, yeah, it was, because we all knew about it, and there's lots of tremors, and periodically, he said, it was sometimes up to 4 on the Richter scale. I thought, that's quite high, isn't it? He said, yeah, it is. I said, well, how the fuck do you want to work at the 33rd floor of a skyscraper, looking out onto Alcatraz when you know, you're working in? He says, well, that's the way it is for everyone in San Francisco. Anyway, I noticed he was wearing a skirt. I thought, fuck. When he came from the other side of the bar, he was wearing a lady's skirt, although he had a beard and spectacles. I thought, is he this or that? I don't know. So, anyway, but he was an interesting chap, despite wearing a skirt. I think he's a chap. Anyway, I was talking about my movie to people called One Last Chance with Dougray Scott. And the more I've been probing, the more information is coming back to me. But it turns out that the garage is no longer where it is. It's no longer there. I'm drunk, I think. Or I'm tired, possibly. I think I'm tired more than drunk. Because I've had such a elevated evening of conversation with different people, especially Dutch people. The Germans weren't really in conversation that much. But I think that was because they may well not want to speak. Because it didn't look like any of them wanted to speak apart to each other. But they seemed friendly enough. But there's quite a lot of them. Don't know what they were doing. I actually felt that I wasn't in Scotland. I felt like everybody was there was of different nationality except me. It was very odd. But on this this movie Heat, this must be boring to look at this door, Andrew, for your viewers. Well, what am I else meant to do? I'm talking to myself, aren't I? My foot. Do you want to look at my feet? Have a look at this bag I got in Turkey. Look at my bag. Yeah, I was thinking as well. I mean, from the first place I was in, I had a great meal. I was, and I came over, because I think I told you about that. And then I came over, I went back again, and I made that decision that I was going to have a drink. And I don't really need alcohol, as far as my brain's concerned. But sometimes it's good to be sitting with alcohol when you're communicating with other people, because for them it relaxes them, not you. If you're sitting with a glass of port, well, that's alcohol, isn't it? Let's say you're sitting with a glass of lemonade. They're less likely to start talking or opening up to you. But if you're sitting there with alcohol, they think that you're on the same wavelength as them. Well, we are. It was a great conversation. It was great. What I'm thinking, actually, my brain's getting taken over by my own internal thoughts, you see. And I'm thinking of that film Heat. I'm talking about the San Francisco Bay area. But do you remember when... See, this is what I think sometimes when I think of Up and Down. That's Up and Down friend of mine. When Robert De Niro is, in the movie with his bird, which is the introduction of that is at her place up at looking down on San Francisco Bay. But much later, after things have gone a bit pear-shaped, after one of their armed robberies, as he calls them, scores. He is heading to San Francisco to make his escape, I believe, to New Zealand. And everything is in order. But one of Robert De Niro's best acting moments in his whole career, as far as I'm concerned, is that moment when he's driving that vehicle. Well, it could be a staged drive, Hollywood staged illusion, him driving it. But nevertheless, when he is asked by his partner, who is in some kind of state of shock, discovering that her boyfriend, that she turns out to be, is not actually into medals. He doesn't sell medals, buy and sell medals. He's actually taking down scores. Well, when she says, he announces that he's got one other thing to take care of, She says, is there time? And he says, yeah, there's time. And he leaves the carriageway heading for the airport to go to this hotel in Los Angeles at the airport to seek down the guy, Jameson, who betrayed him badly. That's an assumed name, Jameson, of course. But the point that I'm trying to say is, in this drunken stupor, is Robert De Niro's face goes from elation to anger, to elation to anger, deep, hateful revenge, anger. And it does that just in a few seconds. And I think he is acting out this part amazingly. He is just able to put on these two different expressions within a few moments of each other. I think it's amazing. Watch it. Just watch his expressions. But then it also got me thinking too. Andrew, you're tired. Go to your bed, son. It has been a long day right now. There is a part towards the end of the movie. No, it's not. It's not the end of the movie, Andrew. It's a part with Ashley Judd, who is now under arrest, or she's working for the Los Angeles Police Department, the LAPD. So they think, but she's not. And it's a pre-arranged thing. She had an affair with somebody who had a warrant out for his arrest for smuggling cigarettes, but not in the real world, of course, in the acting world, in this film. But she's been caught, and all she needs to do is betray her boyfriend in the movie, played by Val Kilmer. And there's a scene, a pre-arranged meeting that they've got through the LAPD, that he is arriving, and he assumes he is going to pick up the person he loves most. He says in an early part of the movie, when challenged by Robert De Niro, that the sun rises and sets with her. That's the way he feels about her. The sun rises and sets with her. That's the way I feel about Up and Down. And it's funny, this, using that metaphor, the sun rising and setting is also up and down. But my point is, in this movie, when he approaches, she approaches the window and does that blind side of the LAPD, and he spots it. And that moment is very, very intense. Because if you've ever been in love, you will know that that must have been, whether it's fiction or whether it's for real, one of the hardest moments in your whole life, to be told in that second you have a choice to make. You come out of that car towards this house and you will spend the next 50 to 100 years in an American prison for your robberies, for your scores. Even though it's a movie, it's still based in fact. Or you can accept this don't come up. And he accepts it. But the expression of Val Kilmer's face says everything for every guy that's ever been in that position. Or every woman, even. That they will never, ever see the person that they love ever again. It's absolutely a brilliant piece of direction by the movie maker. It's absolutely brilliant, that film. But those two segments live with me, and oh, I'm telling you about it, eh? You can work out what I'm trying to say. Eh? Work it out. Anyway, well, the reason I don't drink is because it ends up making your voice quiet and deep. I'm in a hotel bedroom, so I'm not really in a position to be talking like a doc at Amaury. Like, I'm alright. Strange place to come, Andrew. I've actually booked in for another night, but this time I've booked across the road for Monday night as well. I've got to go back down the road tomorrow morning. I've got a thing I've got to sort out. Something I've got to do.